Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. Today I'm sharing with you a fun technique for the Global Stampin Video Hop. The theme this month is floral. I love flowers and was really drawn to the beautiful hand-drawn images in the Mixed Florals Bundle. There are so many different ways you can color these beautiful images, but I thought it would be fun to try paper piecing, and I loved how it turned out. Stick around to see my tips and tricks to using this fun technique on your next project. Also, I hope you take some time to see what everyone has created for the video hop by clicking on the link at the top of the description below for the next video. If you're new to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. Just click on the link in the bottom right corner of this video. So for this card, I am going to use my Stamparatus. This is a retired product from Stampin' Up, and I just love it. And I love using it especially with large images because I know I'm going to get a perfect stamp each time. So if you don't have it, you can still do the technique without it, but I am using it. So if you have this or another stamping positioning tool, you can use it. And we also need to choose some paper that we want to use for the technique. Now I knew that I wanted to have a green color as well as some bright, happy floral colors, some pinks and oranges. And so I pulled these patterns from the Unbounded Beauty Designer Series paper pack. And there are some beautiful floral images on one side. But what I love about it is we have some simpler designs that are going to be perfect for this paper piecing technique. And if you want to use a busier pattern, so like if these patterns are more your jam, you can definitely go for that. But I like a more simple pattern so it doesn't overwhelm the actual image. So what we're going to do is we are going to stamp this image 4 times. I'm going to use Memento black ink. And so I'm going to first set up my paper in my tool, and this is going to be the background here. So this paper is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4, which is the full card front piece. So I need to position my stamp exactly where I want it to be on my card. So I think something like that should work pretty well. It's a pretty forgiving image. It doesn't need to be perfect, and the layout is really forgiving as well. As long as it's to the right side, I think I'm good. So then I'm going to take my Memento black ink and ink up my image and then stamp it down. I can already see that I may be missing a little bit of ink in the middle. So when I lift this up, I want to make sure that it doesn't pull my paper with it. So I like to slide something underneath and just really hold down. And right there, it's a little bit light. So I'm just going to go ahead, add a little more ink right there in the middle. And that's really why when stamping large images, I love tools like this. Okay, perfect. So you can see how I got a perfect image with that stamp positioning tool. So next we're going to stamp that same image on all 3 patterns. And so just make sure that it's, for this one, I could probably just get away with doing a little bit because I don't need this bottom part. So I could save some of my paper there. Move my magnets so they're in place. And I'm going to move these things off to the side so that I can get more of this in the camera frame. So ink up your image. So this one is for the small flowers. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to do the same thing with the orangey pink color. And then for this one, I need to do the whole thing because I do have leaves that go from like through the whole image. All right, so we've stamped our images now on all 3 pattern pieces, as well as our background piece. And this is going to be the piece that holds all of our pieces together into one image. So let's go ahead and we're going to start fussy cutting the images out. So I'm going to begin with my leaf image, and I just like to start where it's simple. This image is just maybe a little complicated in that it's got a lot of ins and outs. But just start on one side and then slowly follow the image around. You need to cut it right along the line, so don't give it a little border. Normally when I fussy cut, I like to give a little border, but not today. Today we need to cut right along the line so that the image comes together seamlessly. And so it will take a little bit of time, especially with a large image like this. All right, so I'm coming up to my first tip, and that is right here as I come up to the stem. You want to cut into the next image just a little bit, and then you can come out, because we are going to layer that flower over the image just a little bit. And then because we're placing it on a stamped image, we don't need to worry about this stem here of the small flowers. So we can just go ahead and cut that off. And then also, because right now we have this tulip that overlaps the leaf. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and cut right through that tulip into and coming up and through into the next leaf. Oh, there it is. Okay, I lost the edge. So we don't need to worry about going around any of these flowers right now, because we will be cutting those out of the purple or orangey pink paper and laying that on top. So we're going to do that again here with the center tulip. We're going to cut right through the tulip to connect the bottom to the top of the leaf. I'll show you when we come back through. So here's the top of the leaf right here, and it connects down here to this leaf that's underneath the tulip. So to bring all that together, we just cut right through the tulip and then connect it down here. And then to make it easier, I'm going to come from the top on this tall one, and that's just because I couldn't get a good tight turn at the bottom. Don't forget about any stems. So those stems we also want to have be in green. So don't cut out, don't remove them by accident. And if you do, really that's okay, because you could just glue it back on, but try to remember to keep those together. All right, so I've done most of the cutting. Down here at the bottom, I'm just going to do like a little bit of a cut right along the edge, just following the shape of the lines there, and then kind of just round it out at the bottom where it meets the sides. Now there's a couple openings that we need to cut out. So right here is not a leaf, it's the background. So what I like to do is figure out how to create a seam that's seamless to get into that space. And so what I'm going to do is come up to this one right here, and I'm going to cut right along that edge, which is going to create a seam, but I'm not going to separate the pieces from the main image. I'm just removing this opening here, and then when I place adhesive on it, you won't even see the seam. Okay, so I'm removing that opening. So you can see how that has that hole. There's also a little tiny one up here. I'm going to do the same thing right along that same leaf, kind of go in and cut out this opening here. Okay, so you see the seam right there, but they're still connected. I didn't remove them from the main piece. And then let's look, there's another one down here. This one looks like it would be easier to access from the bottom. And then it looks like there's a couple right above in this opening here. So I'm going to go this way. Okay, so there's our main leaf image. And I'm going to just add the glue to the stamped image and just some spots here or there. Make sure I focus on some of those really delicate areas. And so then when you add this, you just want to make sure that you line everything up. So start at one side. I'm going to start here at the bottom. And then just going to slowly move things so that they line up and fit inside this original stamped image. Just like that. And then I'm going to flip it over and lightly smooth out the glue. And then if I notice there's any that are sticking up, I can always grab a scrap piece of cardstock or DSP, put some liquid glue on that, and then tap it, put it underneath that loose piece and tap it in the glue. And that's going to just add just the right amount of glue to get that to sit flat. Very cool look. I know it doesn't look like it's come together quite yet, but it's going to be really pretty. All right, let's next do the tulips. They're nice and large, and there's only 3 of them. And we're just going to fussy cut right around each one. And there's really no tips here. You just want to cut out the whole tulip right along the edge, just like we did with the leaves. Okay, so I've got those 3 done. I did try to keep them in order so I knew which one went where. And just as a side note, if you are careful with these small flowers and you don't cut into them, you could make a second card by switching out the small flowers and put the small flowers with pink and the large tulips with purple. So that's just a little note. Go ahead and add these with some liquid adhesive as well. If you did want to pop these up with dimensionals, you could also do something like that. I'm just going to go ahead and pop them down with liquid adhesive so everything is nice and flat. You can see how they go right over those leaves, giving it a more finished look. And then the last thing we need to do are just cut out the little tiny flowers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one flower and then put it on. So glue it on. So that way I don't lose them in my scraps. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. So cut out this tiny little flower here. Add a small little dot of glue onto my, and then use your take a pick tool to pick it up and place it on the glue. And then you can use the point to move it into place. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that for all of the flowers. Okay, so I am done doing all the paper piecing to the image. I'm going to go ahead, flip it over, run my bone folder over it one time just to kind of smooth any glue out. But this is now ready for my card. All right, so then to kind of fill in some of this opening here on the left, I'm going to go ahead and add some strips of that same coordinating designer series paper. Each strip is 3/4 of an inches wide and 5 1/4 inches long. And I'm just going to layer them. And you can do as much or as little of that undercolor as you want to show. This is maybe just a little less than 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and add all that to the left side of my paper. And right here, I've got an area that is going to coat over, but I kind of want to tuck it under so that that flower goes on top of the pattern paper. So luckily, I hadn't added too much adhesive underneath and it comes up pretty easily. If by chance you have to put it over it, that's okay too. Just make sure all the edges line up nicely. And that is our card front. I'm going to go ahead and add it to a card base of Pool Party cardstock. Just like that, right in the center. If you use liquid glue, just remember to always smooth it out. And this is a gorgeous card all by itself. You could add some iridescent rhinestones. These are also a retired product, but I have them, I love them, I still use them. You could find something similar. Or you can add a greeting. For my card, I'm going to add a greeting from the coordinating bundle, Mixed Labels. And I'm just going to put, "I'm so glad we're friends." And I'm going to add that just with some basic white cardstock with Memento black ink. You could coordinate the ink color to be one of the colors from any of your DSP patterns. But black is just going to stand out nice. And then I'm going to cut that out with a label. And the mixed labels, they do have some beautiful labels that coordinate with it. But I wanted something a little more organic. And so I'm going to use the Around It All dies and just find a circle that coordinates or fits nicely with that greeting. And the nice thing about these is you just keep rotating it until it kind of fits. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And then I'm going to add that with a dimensional. You could add it anywhere on your image. I'm just going to fill in this space right here. Just like that. And then of course add some fun embellishments. Like I said, I love these iridescent rhinestones. When they were on clearance, I just bought a ton of them. But they do have some other really beautiful iridescent options. So you could also do something like that. Just kind of, I added 5 just to add that little touch of sparkle to the card. That's so pretty. And your card is all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create this beautiful card using the paper piecing technique. If you're interested in getting written instructions or seeing close-up images on how I created this card, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Please remember to jump around and see all the videos in the Global Stampin Video Hop this month. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.